JD Vance, interesting, very interesting. He's a venture capitalist who's invested in tech companies himself. His backing comes from a tech billionaire. At the same time, he's been very critical of big tech, including talking about breaking up Google. In your mind, his vice presidency, what does that mean for big tech here in the U.S.?
It's really hard for me to think about big tech without thinking about the way that the Trump administration in their first term handled China and the trade relationship, granting special exclusions, licenses throughout the trade war. It's something that we saw in the 2017 tax bill as well. So I think for the tech space that is undergoing a lot of scrutiny, a lot of oversight, regulation around social media, around crypto, around a whole host of different issues, antitrust as well. Getting access to the potential second Trump administration now, particularly through JD Vance, makes a lot of strategic sense as they are looking at regulation to come. So just as some businesses would prefer to have the opportunity to get licenses and exclusions the way they did in Trump's first term, they would hope to do that in the second term as well.
All right, so you're mentioning possible regulation to come. I think one thing that may be concerning for these companies is the idea that JD Vance is very much in favor of repealing Section 230, basically the Internet's liability shield. In all fairness, President Trump and President Biden have both spoken about it as well. How big of a risk is that for investors, the possibility that he may be successful?
Well, I think that this is an area that Congress is really wrapping its mind around, and they've obviously had years worth of debates, months worth of hearings. It's still in, I think, what we can safely call a formative stage. There's a lot of room to run. So for all the lobbyists that work for these institutions, I mean, this is where the direction that you'd want to go, particularly if you're looking at the polling data and seeing that in the swing states, Trump is ahead versus Joe Biden. And so long as Joe Biden remains on the ticket, it's very likely that Trump wins those states. And in particular, with Pennsylvania, what's notable to me is JD Vance obviously is from Ohio, giving that the general media landscape and proximity geographically to Pennsylvania, I think is a really big deal. So it makes sense for all of these industries, if they're concerned about those regulations, to be flocking towards the Trump and now JD Vance ticket.
All right, so you mentioned JD Vance is from Ohio. The idea that part of the reason he was picked is he's going to bring in those Rust Belt voters. At the same time, he's been very vocal about being tougher on trade policy, on top of President Trump also talking very tough about tariffs. Does his being named as the vice presidential candidate, does that increase the likelihood of us seeing those 10% tariffs, those even higher tariffs on China?
Certainly, I think JD Vance represents the new realm of the Republican Party. You know, I'm old enough to remember when the Republican Party was the party of free trade, and now they're the party of fair trade, which is still being defined as a thing. I think that 10% tariffs on Chinese imports, particularly lists 1 through 4A that already exist today, should immediately be expected to rise up to 17.5% and 35%, depending on where they are now. A whole host of items have already been tariffed at 50% rates, semiconductors and the like under Ambassador Tai at the USTR. So those could all raise another 10 percentage points. I think it's also prudent to start anticipating that you'll see a 60%, 50%, pick a number, tariff on certain kinds of imports. I expect former Ambassador Lighthizer to be part of a second Trump administration. And we can, of course, know that List 4B, which covers over $100 billion worth of goods, has never even been tariffed yet. So those could start off at 25 or even 50% if they so see fit. The steel industry, of course, has a 100% now tariff on steel when coming in from China. President Biden increased that threefold a couple months back, and that goes into effect, I believe, August 1st. I mean, I think tariffs and the trade war will be a prominent feature of the second Trump administration. And if for no other reason,
I want to jump in. One thing I want to get to you because we're almost out of time, taxes. So JD Vance has actually been very vocal about possibly hiking taxes, especially on high earners. How does that impact what we expect to be the president to, former President Trump, if he's reelected, to continue those corporate tax cuts? How do those two things work together where we have a JD Vance that wants to see taxes move higher and former President Trump, if reelected, is expected to want to see more tax cuts?
Well, more tax cuts is one thing. Keeping the tax cuts intact is really what we're after. Just to keep the status quo is going to cost $4.6 trillion. So if JD Vance is proposing raising taxes on corporate mergers, share buybacks, or wealthy individuals, that's to go to offset the cost of just keeping the tax cuts that passed in 2017 static into 2026. That's the real problem. You need to pay for it. They're going to go after those industries to pay for it.